We have Salim joining in today from Mumbai. He is a fashion designer, and you can actually see that he is right now in his studio and with a lovely background. So Salim has done his fashion institute, fashion from Design Institute and Merchandising University of California, which is based out of Los Angeles. And he's been formally training, and he's been trained as a fashion designer, and has been a person behind a lot of people who've come into this industry of fashion. So a lot of achievement, a lot of great shows which are related to fashion. He is one person who coordinates and ensures that everything is set right. He's got his own brand with through which he does all these, you know, show. I mean, I'm like new to the show business, but yeah, we have a legend here. Anything I describe, I mean that's very low about him. But it's an honor having you here, Salim. So maybe you can talk more about your achievements. How did you start, and your biggest accomplishments? We see a lot of corporates you've done shows for, or made their small events more memorable with your presence. So over to you, Salim.
Thank you, Ravi. It's lovely speaking with you, and thank you for having me on the show. And I think you're doing a great job.
Thank you.
And it's really lovely to be here and chat with all your viewers. And a big hello to all of them. So to begin with, Ravi, as you were talking about, it's been a long journey. I'll be completing 30 years in fashion now
Wow.
this year. So there's a retrospective that has been planned. It was supposed to be in September, but we've moved it to December
Hmm.
for reasons you can guess. But so the 30-year journey has been nothing short of a wonderful experience at many levels. So after completing college, that's I did my BCom, and so the natural path after your BCom degree is either you go in for an MBA or you decide to become a chartered accountant and things of that sort. So yeah, I did get my admissions into business college, but kind of there was one thing that really deterred me, and the thing is, I can't, I don't like anybody telling me how to dress.
Hmm.
And when you're talking about the corporate world, there is a kind of now not so much, but
But
then
earlier
quite
it
a
was like
strict
too much.
code
Yeah.
of having to wear a tie and stuff like that. That is something I couldn't digest. So the next best option I thought was fashion. Of course, in those days, I'm talking of 1980s, late 1980s. So there was no concept of fashion in the country, as in designers were not heard of. The very concept of the word fashion designer did not exist.
Hmm.
So you had people in the film trade who were costume designers,
Hmm.
like Banu Athayaji, who did very well. She got an Oscar for Gandhi, etc., etc., etc. But there were no fashion designers, and a lot of people, of course, don't still understand the difference between a costume designer and a fashion designer. But they're two distinct, uh, subjects. However, I couldn't find a school in India that would take in, a guy for fashion design because they were generally it was in the realm of a profession for women
Hmm.
in this country, even then, though it hadn't really taken off. So I found myself going to Los Angeles and doing a program in fashion from the Fashion Institute of Design and Merchandising in Los Angeles, followed by the UCLA. And when I came back to India, people were like, "So, what are you going to do now? Are you going to open a tailoring shop?" It's because there was nothing else. But fortunately, Tarun Tahiliani had just started with his store Ensemble. And that was a great opening. So he had very few designers then. There was, Gudda Rohit Bal.
Hmm.
There was Rohit Khosla, Abu Sandeep, and I think JJ was there. So we just all joined the bandwagon. So I was then retailing from a couple of very few designer stores that existed in the country.
Okay.
So there was a store called Ilahe also in Hyderabad, which I guess is still there, but it was being run by this lady called Ilahe who started the store. So I remember doing the store opening for her. This is way back again in the early 90s. So
Wow.
the journey took off. We started, and since the concept was new, people still had to understand what is designer wear.
Hmm.
So there's clothing and there is designer wear. As we have moved along in the 30 years, I have noticed that the entire concept of designer wear has been torn to bits because the industry has not really segmentized itself.
Hmm.
Okay, so there is everything selling under the guise of designer wear. So what has really happened, that which is truly designer wear
Hmm.
has somewhere got lost and people have become clueless. Of course, then the cluelessness was different. There was a certain aspiration to fashion.
Hmm.
People wanted to go for fashion shows. Now it's become very common. So I have watched the whole journey from the beginning of fashion to where we are today. And yes, we have, I wouldn't say arrived, but we are there. We still have to establish an international presence. So every day is a new day. I'm still looking forward to more. And I think more passionate now than I was then.
Wow. So how was I mean, what were the challenges in your journey, and what were the best moments of your career?
So the challenges, as I would think, uh, is of course when you begin in an industry which is completely, let's say, raw.
Hmm.
There was no market. We had to create a market. We had to create our presence. So that by itself was a challenge. One of the things that helped us, of course, was the fact that since it was new and media was much easier to deal with then than it is today. So we got a lot of support from the media at that point of time. We didn't have to pay through our noses for it. So it helped in pushing us forward. Uh, the entire concept of branding then
Hmm.
did not exist, which as we have it today, branding has become an area of specialty now.
True.
Then we had to create the branding for ourselves. So that was a big challenge as to how do you position yourself correctly. Do you go for a mass market? Do you go for a very select audience? And somehow or the other, what really happened is I think fashion and celebrity move together, high fashion and celebrity. So the connect with, since I am in Mumbai, the connect with Bollywood is far easier.
Hmm.
So one of my first shoots was with Aishwarya Rai,
Hmm.
not Bachchan then. And so this photographer who is Farooq Chotia, who's responsible for some very fabulous work and campaigns. I started working with him on my shoots, and he said there is a new girl, and would you like to take a look at her pictures? So I did take a look at her pictures, and I said yes, she looks nice, but you still need to meet in person and stuff. So she had a few zits here and there, and I was like, okay, maybe she's going to work. It'll work well. What really got me was the level of professionalism that Ash had even in those days.
Hmm.
Um, our shoot started at 5:30 in the morning. She was there. She was very professional in her approach, which she remained even after she joined Bollywood. And I think one of the reasons of her success was a lot of
Commitment.
discipline, hard work, and professionalism. So that was a great beginning to have started working with stars who were upcoming and then went on to become big stars. So there was Aishwarya, there was Bipasha, a lot of television stars, and Simi Garibaldi. So all of us, I think, we helped each other on in our respective journeys, and that's when the ball really started rolling. And there was then recognition that started coming from different places. More stores started opening up. So the initial challenges of distribution of merchandise, because you can't sell designer wear just about anywhere in any shop. It needs to have a certain kind of ambiance, a certain kind of a selling style which only comes through in a designer store. So more started appearing. Then there were stores in Chennai. Then Kolkata came up, and then yes, we started rolling. So it took about 3 or 4 years after I initially started off with one machine and
Hmm.
one tailor, and then after 4 or 5 years of struggling a bit, we managed to, at least I managed to find my space.
Wow. Any specific Bollywood celebrity or a model whom you could transform completely in the way they looked earlier versus later after they
So I
changed?
worked with, for instance, I worked with Bipasha when she was in Kolkata. And the Bipasha that you see today and the Bipasha that you saw then were totally very different. So, and when she came into Mumbai, she came in as a model.
Mm.
So, there was a reconnect again. And there was this rapport, which then becomes something that is mutual, and you start working with that artist. And slowly and surely, there is uh, there is a kind of grooming that happens,
Mm.
which is very organic, because you start styling them for various different things, and then somewhere subtly you start changing their looks. But a designer can't do that all by himself or herself. It the thrust and the motivation has to come from that person itself.
True.
So as you see with most successful stars who have really been able to transform themselves and look wonderful from time to time, I would think many of these, like Bipasha, Ash, Smriti Irani ji was initially when she was on television. So I used to do clothes for her also. So now you see different personalities altogether from when they started. So yeah, it makes you feel good.
And any specific person, I mean, need not be a big Bollywood celebrity or a model. Any person who's like completely got transformed but still is connected with you. They always, know the efforts what you put in. They're very close to you. Somebody who doesn't show off that, attitude and go away, move on with whatever they have achieved. So, any specific, good friend of yours out of this particular?
So yes, there are. I mean, all these stars today are still in touch, and of course, there is a slight difference. There always gets a slight difference, when you get busier and have more to deal with. So you're not like meeting that often, but the connect still always
Mm-hmm.
remains. One of someone who was like the queen of television, Vinta Nanda,
Mm-hmm.
who was the producer director of serials such as Tara and Millie and many, many more. So I have been working with her for quite some time, and we are still extremely close and bonded. So one of those, I think, is like it's like a relationship which will be there forever. So I really cherish those things that come along the way, where a client becomes a friend, and
Right.
then that friendship goes on to like serve you for the rest of your life. So that is a beautiful part of it. And why, I'll tell you, Ravi, is also because I'm not really, when you look at my work, we are not in the business of making clothes.
Mm-hmm.
We are in the business of creating relationships,
Right.
because you can only really style someone very well is
Mm-hmm.
when you have a close relationship with them. There is a friendship. You need to understand their requirements and what is it at that point of time that is really going to work for them.
Right.
So most of my clients who are like I would call my inner circle
Mm-hmm.
of clients are actually all very close friends. So
Yeah, because that's really important, and that's when you love working around and do whatever they need.
yes, yes, because passion also needs a certain synergy. There needs to be a certain bounce off.
Mm.
So when the excitement is both with the client and the designer, then automatically there's something wonderful that comes up.
True, so true. So, Salim, I'm still new to fashion. I mean, like
Yeah,
you might have a lot of categories and all that.
yeah.
So, are you all set? Like, are you flexible for any sort of requirements your clients have? Like, let's say, one of your celebrities are like doing a movie related
Yeah,
to horror. I mean,
yeah.
so do you design and ensure that the fashion around horror is taken care of for that particular movie?
So I have five labels, Ravi.
Uh-huh.
So we have a couture label,
Mm-hmm.
we have a pret label, we have a lifestyle label,
Mm-hmm.
and we have a menswear label. What we started recently is a label called Essay by Salim Asgarally, which is, see, you have to understand, my journey started 30 years back. So I have clients who are now in their 70s and 80s also.
Okay.
Okay, because the 30 years journey, so they really have not remained the same in their dressing habits and the kind of clothes that they require, because as you age, the kind of clothes you wear also changes.
True.
So to keep their requirements alive is still the parent label, which is Salim Asgarally. We started another label called Essay by Salim Asgarally,
Hmm.
which is actually a runoff on my name, SNA, but it's spelled ESSAY. So that is a younger line of clothing and it is more accessible and price friendly.
Okay.
So that is the fifth label. Therefore, what I have done is I have covered various different kinds of merchandise.
Hmm.
Now, interestingly, when you look at a designer's work, there is what you call a signature style,
True.
right? Uh, I have very consciously tried to change my collections and looks every time I come up with a different collection.
Hmm.
So I don't want to get typified because it's very easy to get typified. Oh, this one does just minimalist clothes, or this one does just like the heavy couture stuff, because that then limits you. So I never
True.
wanted to get limited in my approach. With the result, I've been able to explore various genres of fashion,
Hmm.
be it couture, which is again an entire different ball game. Fun clothes are done through the SA line.
Hmm.
My pret collections is that which you can wear even in the day. You can carry it from day through evening, accessorize it differently. So I've been able to find something for someone of all ages, even when they're celebrities and we are styling them. There is something in my collections which I can pick out from to suit the day, look, occasion, everything. If it's evening, red carpet, then we have a range of gowns in our couture collection. And of course, if there's something that is required to be customized at that point of time, if it's a very special occasion, then of course we would do that.
Okay.
And as far as films is concerned, I haven't done too many. I've done a couple of them. Reason being, I like to work very closely with my director, and they must have the same kind of sensibility and attention for detail. There is one thing that really plagues, I think, not only in the entertainment world, if you look everywhere else, is mediocrity.
Hmm.
And I think that is one of the reasons that we as an industry in fashion haven't really been able to go international in the truest sense of the word, because we get stuck in the mediocre. That attitude of saying "chal jayega."
Hmm.
Chal jayega means what? Like, what do you mean?
True.
So there are directors who are very conscious about what is happening, even in that area of the shot which is not very clearly visible. It could be a teacup, but the teacup has to be correct. It has to be correctly placed. It just can't be any teacup. So if
Hmm.
you have that kind of attention for detail, and you require, because I believe if I'm doing costume, the reason I'm doing costume is because that actor has to play his part. If he's not going to look his part, he's not going to be able to play his part. So I need the cooperation of the director. I need a budget. I need to be able to work in comfort. I'm not happy with carrying my clothes on a hanger and having stood over there. And I need, a system to perform, because it's the ultimate result that matters. And if that is going to be good, then the setup has to be good. So these are the reasons that I have worked with very few directors. But I'm glad that the work we did, like one of the films that I did was Mayor Charles with Randeep Hooda,
Hmm.
and we were dressing Randeep as Charles Sobraj, the serial killer who existed in the 80s and all the way through in the 90s. So we went through almost 20 years of his life journey. So that required him to dress differently at different. So there were clothes which are actually vintage,
Hmm.
which, fabrics which were used only then, like double knits, which you don't see now. So, sourcing all those kind of things, putting the entire look together was a very challenging thing. And it's an enjoyable thing if it is challenging. If it's just something about running around the trees and, buying your clothes from a store and then chopping off the sleeves, dressing the actress up and saying, okay, fine, you're done. That
That is
I don't do.
easy. Yeah. That one is easy. So, but
Yeah,
yeah, I
yeah.
still can't believe how these movies are made. Which are like old, like the new movies which are having the storyline of 80s or 70s or older than that. The entire background, and yeah, yeah, as you mentioned, the dress, get those fabrics, those patterns are like the checks or those stripe patterns. Still,
Yes.
I think those are the things more than the backdrop get us the feeling that okay, yeah, the movie wahan ka hai, purana hai.
Yes, because what I do is when I work with my team on a film, for instance, even like Charles was almost, you could say it was a period film because we were dressing a character from another era altogether.
Mm.
So, there are several readings of the script which are done with my team till we have understood what is it that that character eats,
Yes.
what are his likes, what are his dislikes, what does he like psychologically,
Mm.
because what you are like psychologically is what you will dress. So if you're flamboyant, then you need to bring that flamboyance into the clothes, for instance. So the whole by the end of that process, we know the character inside out,
Mm.
and only then I think the clothes come out really well. Because fittings and everything else is a different story. Now, here I'm not trying to make the character look glamorous.
Mm.
I'm trying to make the character look real.
Real.
If reality demands glamour, we'll bring in the glamour. But I don't believe in just doing clothes just because they need to be glamorous. That anyone can do. It's a very simple thing. So if a job is not challenging enough, it doesn't move me enough. So
So,
that's the way I like to work.
yeah. Salim, tell me one thing. I mean, were you built this way? Your personality. Do you go to gym the way you look now, or you were born this way, where the complete V shape, built up chest and muscles. So, how is this possible? I mean, how much workout do you do?
So
And
I think, Ravi, one has to evolve every single day. And you can only evolve if you stay young in your head.
mm,
And if you are in the business of fashion, you need to be young in your head. Because if you are not, and you can remain young in your head when the new excites you. And you're not jaded. Because the minute you become jaded, your collections will start looking jaded.
mm,
So I'll tell you, though I took fashion as a career, it was a career choice finally. In retrospect, when I look back, and that's I realized when my sister she gave me a little notebook, which is like an exercise book, something like this, with lines, of course, a smaller version, and it was filled. This was something I was doing it when I was 5 years old. So it was filled with little matchstick figures and images, which generally children draw,
mm,
and they were all dressed up like mini skirt, hat, bag. Uh, the boy and the girl. Generally, I drew couples, but fully dressed up and coordinated in color, which is when I realized that subconsciously I was doing this from a very early age. So, clothes has been a great fascination. And if you love clothes, then you somewhere need a decent body to carry them off. And since I love clothes, I make sure that I remain in at least a certain level of fitness to be able to do a little justice to them. So yeah, I do go to the gym. I'm very conscious about my own fitness, and right now the gyms are shut, so it's a bit of a drag. So I've gone and picked up a bicycle, which has now become my new passion to cycle, and I do my online training with my trainer, like online. But otherwise, yes, it's the gym at least 3 or 4 times in a week. It's a must, and I watch my diet.
wow. But that's not some fitness because you've got this perfect V shape. I've gone through your profile pictures, the photos, pictures you
Yeah, so
post.
I work hard with my trainer.
Okay.
I don't like to, for instance, become very bulky. So we do, lighter weights and stuff like that, and go with a program that is suited to what I would like my body to be and remain as. So yes, I do work at it consciously, and I think it's important because
And
it's like if I'm going to look shabby, how would you even have the confidence that I'm going to make you look good?
mm,
It's as simple as that. If I had a trainer who had a huge pot belly, I would give him one look and say, I don't think it's going to work for me. So it was that way, I guess.
true, yeah. But you're enjoying it, so that's most important. You're enjoying the way you're dressing yourself, the way you're like interacting with the clients, the way you're selectively taking up work which is coming across you.
I think I have been blessed as well,
Hmm.
that I am able to be selective, and I'm able to choose what I want to do. And at the end of the day, I think all of the people that appear on your show are all very lucky because they've all been able to follow their passion. So, in that manner, I do think even I have been blessed. And sorry, we got a little interruption there.
No problem.
But I think it's something that it grows with you as you keep moving along in your journey
Hmm.
to remain out there and to be doing good work. For instance, now at the moment, I have moved into a different line of work,
Hmm.
and I'd love to talk about that. So,
Okay,
as I
sure.
told you, I have 5 labels which all dealt with clothes. And but I've always had this bent of mind where I'm fond of my fitness
Hmm.
routines. I'm fond of eating healthy, and the kind of the food that is available all over the place that's chemical ridden and everything else. I really felt in this period of COVID that we have all been going through, it's the return to wellness. It's the return to everything that is about health
Right.
and that which gives people true value. So I have
Agree.
moved into food,
Hmm.
and now I'm designing food.
Wow.
So I want to bring my expertise of design, which earlier was more visual,
Hmm.
but now it's more sensual as it's with your dealing with your taste and the way it looks, and in providing healthy food to people. So I have a line of breakfast foods which I'm working on, which is like all kinds of muesli.
Hmm.
Um, there's granola, there protein bars, cookies. So everything is very organic, gluten free, sugar free, and I'm making it all myself. So I'm
Wow.
enjoying this entire experience of having had to sit at home
Hmm.
and really discovering another side of myself through food. So now I'm going to take this forward and develop it into a brand which is going to be about designer gourmet food, which will actually be like we do a full roast chicken. Okay, so it's going to come as a gift pack, so you can gift it to a friend.
Hmm.
You can have a romantic dinner for two. It'll come with like a gift box.
Hmm.
So all you do is take it out and probably pop it into the micro and serve it, but with the accompaniments and everything, and it'll look gourmet.
Super. Super idea. And I think
So,
that's really
of course,
resonating
and then
with.
I want to get into farming. So my plans going forward, once I delegate my labels to my successor,
Hmm.
farming is the area I'd really like to go into, and organic farming at that,
Completely, completely
because
agree.
we still haven't gotten to the fiber stage of the organic clothing, and I think that is important as well.
Yeah. Nice, Salim. Nice to know the future plans you have and complete transformation from, fashion designing to, farming. And I'm sure, these are like people say grassroots level. I think farming is, one of the things.
Yeah, it's like connecting with your roots, connecting with the soil is very important. I think one of the reasons why all of us have landed up in this mess because we have lost that connectedness with the soil.
True. So true.
To be able to connect with that, I think will bring it back. And as far as fashion goes, one has to admit it's a very narcissistic
Hmm.
industry, and it is somewhere a narcissistic profession. It's about making people look beautiful all the while. Honestly, beauty needs to come from inside. So it's
Hmm.
the inner beauty that you need to bring out. And I do see that inner beauty can be heightened with what you eat, where it comes from. If you are using things which come from a good space, it's going to take you to a good space. And if it takes you to a good space, you're going to look good anyway. So it's delving deeper at a deeper level than what I was dealing with. I think that was a little more superficial because it was all about the exterior. So
Hmm.
now I want to get to the interior.
Interiors. Super, super idea. So, sir, we also have some rapid fire questions so that we know
Okay.
Salim well. So, this is all about
Ooh,
Salim.
I'm looking forward to that.
So, with all this fashion designing and all that, matlab, with so many models around you, where you and your team are like personally working on them, matlab, प्यार हो जाता होगा. So, who is your celebrity crush?
Who was my celebrity crush? I had, at one point of time, I would think it was Ash
Hmm.
because I was just very fascinated by the manner in which she conducted herself with great poise and great calm. And of course, it remained a crush. And I'm still very overtly fond of her.
Nice. What is the silliest stuff you've ever done?
Oh my God, too many crazy things to talk about. Um, I think one of the most silly things that I could have done, let's say, it's very difficult to talk about the silly things that you have done, but I remember it was a Christmas Eve, and we were going nowhere. We were at home, myself and a couple of other friends, and these were the days when there were no mobile phones; there were landlines,
Hmm.
and we just decided to pull somebody's leg, and there was a scheme going on. Actually, there was this brand called Cello, if you remember.
Hmm. Yeah.
It had Tupperware kind of stuff,
Hmm.
you know,
Yes.
and they had a scheme going on that if they were to call you and instead of hello you said cello, you get a free
Sell.
set of things.
Okay.
So we started calling up people, just randomly dialing people and calling them up, and we'd say cello, and they would obviously say hello, and then when they'd hear cello, they'd say cello. So we said, okay, fine, you've won the hamper. Okay, but tomorrow you have to go with your phone bill. We had this friend who used to work at, I think, one of the Citibank offices or something. So I said, you have to go there and collect your gift from her. Ravi, you won't believe, we must have made some 500 calls that evening. There were at least 200 people who lined up with their phone bills for that girl. And it drove her completely batty. So stupid things like that. I think that was the silliest thing I've done.
It's the best prank ever, I think,
Seriously.
in terms of volume. 200 people are not joke. And I'm sure, all the rest of the 300 people also were like, jayenge, kal jayenge, parso jayenge, and eventually would have showed up someday.
Yeah, they were showing up for almost a week and she could not figure out. I think till this day she doesn't know that we have done it.
This is best one. So you have not revealed it till date.
We have not, we dared not, to top of our heads, I guess.
Okay, next question. What's the worst message you sent accidentally to someone?
Oh, the worst message I've sent accidentally to someone. Um, it was, I think, someone I didn't like too much, any which way. And it so happened, I had just had a WhatsApp conversation with this person who I didn't like. And then I was chatting with another friend, and because she had pissed me off so badly, I was actually bitching her out.
Okay.
One of those bitching her out messages with her name went to her instead of that other girl. When you're quickly sending it, sometimes it just goes to the wrong place. So, yeah, I mean, I was caught with my pants down practically. Yeah, so that was the one.
Okay. What is the strangest thing that you have ever eaten? And now you're planning to get into food business. So,
Yeah.
what was it?
So, well, I have tried zebra meat.
Mm-hmm.
So, I was in Nairobi doing, I think, a show which Asha Bhosle ji was doing there, and I think I was dressing her at that point of time. And there is this famous restaurant called Carnivore in Nairobi, which serves all kinds of wild meat,
Mm.
from elephant to zebra to all kinds of things. So yeah, I did try zebra meat, and at first I was like, really?
Mm.
But then since everybody else was trying it, I did try it. I wouldn't say it was bad. It was pretty much like the meat we eat, though it was a little tough. But yeah, I think that was. I wouldn't eat the grasshoppers and all those kind of things that other people do eat in Thailand and everywhere else. I don't think I'd be that brave. But the furthest I went was zebra meat.
Zebra meat. Yeah, that's strange. So one thing you still have from your childhood.
My baby clothes.
Oh,
I
you
have
still
clothes
have
of
that?
myself when I was 2 years old. I have my jutis also.
Seriously?
So the first time I saw them, I was like, really? Was I that tiny? Oh my God. So I really cherish those clothes. It kind of, yeah, it makes me feel good.
Good one. Uh, what is something you can't do?
Uh, I'm not very good mechanically, as in, like, there are people who are very passionate about cars.
Hmm.
It's not one of my passions. So I'm not very savvy with, like, repairing a car, for instance, or repairing a bike. Those are things I cannot do. So if there are things where I need to use those kind of mechanical skills, I wouldn't do. Things that I don't enjoy doing, I just don't bother to do
Yeah, right. Makes sense.
because I don't like enjoy struggling with something which I'm not good at. I believe you do what you're good at.
Good point. Yeah. What makes you laugh no matter what?
Sorry, come again.
What makes you laugh no matter what?
Love or laugh?
Laugh.
Laugh. Uh, when I guess someone goofs
Hmm.
and they don't know about it.
Okay.
That really makes me laugh. I think that's a little mean, but then that's the way it is.
Yeah. What does creativity mean to you?
Everything.
Everything.
I think if there was no creativity, there would be no world.
Hmm.
And everything, be it in every industry, at every level, I think the real main engine that churns anything is creativity. So it's extremely important for me. And for me, I don't think I wouldn't want to make any bones about it, but I am a creative person. In the sense, if I'm not creating something, I am very antsy. I would be in a bad mood.
Hmm.
So when I'm creating something, whether it's food, I do interiors as well. My lifestyle label, we do take up, assignments which deal with interiors. So till I am not designing something somewhere, it could be a candle fall, I am not happy. So I have to keep myself mentally busy with that process. That's where I find my calm and my happiness.
So true. I can connect somewhere there.
Yes, because I think if there's one thing that connects you to what we might call the supreme being,
Hmm.
it's creativity. It's a very pure space.
Your favorite lyrics of all time?
My favorite lyrics of all time, प्यार किया तो डरना क्या.
Good one. I think nothing can beat that.
I think it was a classic movie by itself,
Hmm.
but that song really
Yeah.
was the best part of it.
What is that you carry all the time along with you while you're traveling, you're going on assignments, on the fashion show, while you're working or
Um,
not?
One thing that always is in my bag, if you say, is my drops for my eyes, which keep my eyes clear because I get very little sleep.
Hmm.
Especially if it's anything to do with the early mornings, my eyes turn bright red. So I need to have that eye clear solution. My phone, of course, and my Kajal pencil.
So Kajal was passion since like childhood, or you started later after you started you got into fashion
Um, no, later,
later.
much later. I don't believe that there needs, you know, this entire. I believe that fashion needs to become gender neutral.
Hmm.
because this entire inequality of genders and this that needs to change and that will only change really if fashion becomes something that is not based on gender, and that goes for makeup as well. It goes for cosmetics as well. I don't see why men should not be able to use cosmetics. For instance, if there is something that can give you a lift, then why not? And if you enjoy using it, then why not? So I like Kajal. I think it makes my eyes look nice. It kind of brightens your face. So I started using it one day and I liked my look. So I continued with it.
Nice. What is the childish thing you still enjoy?
Childish thing I still enjoy. Irritating my mother. Like really getting on her case.
मार पड़ती है.
मार तो पड़ी थी, बहुत ज्यादा मार पड़ी थी. अभी तो नहीं पड़ती. I can get away with more. But it just gives me a thrill. And she enjoys it as well.
So nice, yeah. Very few kids do that, छेड़ना मतलब चाहिए करके छेड़ना something so that you do that.
हाँ. So yeah, she was very strict in those days when we were kids. So she was one person I wouldn't go to if I needed anything. I'd go to my dad because he was much more relaxed with us and more lenient. So we'd get what we want. Mother, the first thing was no, like no. So now, of course, it's not about the no, it's about other things, but it's about getting back. You know what I'm saying?
So what are the nostalgic things, from your childhood you really miss?
What I really miss is those days of complete carefreeness that we lived with as children, which I don't think even kids today have that space, even though they are still kids. So there is always something that also life is moving very fast these days. Time moves so much faster. Those days, one was more carefree and there was somehow much more time on hand to be able to do things, to just do nothing also. Today, we don't have the leisure of just doing nothing. That space of not doing nothing is really where creativity blossomed. So even today, I do take the liberty to do nothing from time to time. It's like forced nothing. And then, when you get back to work after that phase of doing nothing, so I have taken a sabbatical once of almost a year where I just did nothing. I just traveled and just took my time to do everything. And when I came back to work, some wonderful work came through.
So nice of you. So Salim, you've explored fashion. You've really explored fashion like for 30 years. You've worked with brands. You've worked with celebrities. You're now exploring inner beauty. Things which will build inner beauty. So with all these experience and exposure, meeting different people from different cultures, understanding different cultures from within, because you're designing for
Yes.
one culture. So with all this experience, what would you do if you become the chief minister?
One of the things that if I would become the chief minister is I would promote the arts. I think it's an area which has largely been neglected. And when I say the arts, it covers everything. It covers not only artists as painters, sculptors, but people like us who are designers, a stylist who is also an artist, and in various other genres. I think everything needs to come under one umbrella as art, tribal art. People in the villages who, there are some great embroiderers who produce some fabulous work in little hamlets. So all that needs to be lifted. We don't, in a city like Mumbai, we just have the Jahangir Art Gallery and the Gallery of Modern Art, which is just the NGMA, which has opened recently a few years back. There is no space for art. And how can, civilization is marked by the level at which art has reached. So where in those civilizations where art reached to a great level, like as you have seen in France and Europe, It shows how developed the people were, how developed they were here. But somehow in our country, and even in a state like Maharashtra and Mumbai, which is the gateway for the rest of the country, it's very neglected. So I, as a chief minister, would definitely create, hubs which only deal with art, where there are facilities given to artists, struggling artists who can display their work. They can get space at, reasonable rates to create what they are best at, and be able to monetize it correctly. So I think we definitely need uh, the government to step in and look into this area, because everything is not just about profits and making money. It's about also how you treat your creative people and your artists.
Hmm. Yeah,
So
nice
that is
point.
one area I would definitely look at. On the larger side, if I was the chief minister, I would definitely say for a city like Mumbai and all the other metros, as we have seen during this entire, uh,
Yeah.
pandemic, is decent housing for what we called or did call migrant workers, which we shouldn't be calling them migrant workers, because a large part of them have lived here all their lives. It's just that their base is elsewhere, their families are elsewhere, but they have spent their lives over here. And the kind of squalid conditions in which they have been forced to live needs to change. So, better housing and sanitation, I think, for every city is very, very crucial and important for all of us, because that is where all of us have landed up in a mess ultimately.
True. Nice. Yeah, good thought process, Salim. I really love the way. I mean, I'm first of all honored that you accepted the invite and you joined us in this particular show, because
It
we
was
were
my
pretty
pleasure.
new. We were pretty new, and we were just evolving. And to have a person who's senior most like you in fashion designing, it really makes a lot of difference for us, because there are a lot of large women entrepreneurs and a large amount of entrepreneurs are planning to get into fashion business, and your words, every word and your experience that you have demonstrated on this particular show would make a lot of difference for them. These are insights which they would put into their brand and take it forward. So thanks a lot for joining in. I really love the way you carry yourself, your pose, your confidence, the way you walk, and all that. Some of those things are really inspiring. So
Thank you so much. Thank you
keep
for
inspiring people
having
around
given me
fashion.
the opportunity.
Yeah, keep in.
And all the best. Wish you all the best for your 100 episodes. And may you, as they say, har saal ho, whatever, whatever, 10,000.
Thank you, Salim.
Thanks, Ravi. Bye bye.
So Salim, so friends, do follow Salim and his page and his particular brand. I'll the social handles here. So and yeah, it's always good to connect with inspiring people around us, and that's the show all about. So thank you, friends, for joining in, and thank you, Salim, for joining us.
Bye bye. Thank you.
Thank you.